All right, people, I'm hoping that this thing works. So, good morning. Today is Monday the 16th. We got our first day review for this distance learning thing that we are going to be doing. So, here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to give you a video explaining the topic of the day. There will be some notes involved, and then you are going to need to copy them down in your notebook. So, I'll advise you that today there will be a bit of notes that I would like for you to copy down. I will tell you when that you should copy them down, okay? So, here is our learning target for today. We are going to be dividing polynomials by other polynomials using long division and synthetic division. Now, you might be wondering, what is this second word here, synthetic division? This is another version of long division. This version is exceptionally shorter. Now, I am showing you this now so that when you're going through this, it'll be a little bit easier on you. Now, what's going to happen to show you this week when we're going to review, but obviously we're not in school. So, make sure that you pay attention. I would like for you to copy things down, and feel free to pause the video at any time. Now, we got our homework for today. This is only going to be 12 questions for this topic, and I'm going to advise that you take the time to do it today. Don't put it off. There's no need for you to do that. I know you got, what, 7 other classes? So let's try to make sure that we make our day as easy as possible during this whole process. So, all the following of the all the following things that are on here, they'll be due by the end of the week on Friday. Friday's the last day I will check them. I will go through, I will recheck and reevaluate anything during this week. So that means that if you don't get it done today, I will check tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and then finally Friday. If it's not done by Friday, that means that you have not done what you needed to do. So we have three things. All three of these are on Khan Academy. I understand some of you have some aversion to doing things on Khan Academy. Unfortunately, though, this is all that we have right now. Anything that we're doing will be on the computer. So please take the time to do it. So we got three things. The first two are going to be us dividing polynomials with and without remainders. The first one's with no remainders, the second one with remainders. Then the third one is going to be us dividing polynomials as a whole, so with and without remainders. I'm going to be going through examples of this after I go through this video for the notes. So this video will be notes. The second video that'll be up in the folder for today will be going over examples from each one of these assignments. Now there'll be a link to each of these assignments on Schoology, so make sure you go through, make sure that you click them, okay? So we got two different methods here. First method that we're going to be going over is what we dealt with before, long division. This side over here, this is long division. Over here on the left is our new method. This is called synthetic division. Now, both of these methods here are going to be dealing with the same example and will give us the same answer at the end. Both of these will give us the same answer. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not working this whole thing out as I'm talking right now. It's because the last time I did it, the video just came out kind of poopy. So we're just going to make sure that we go through and do this now by looking through it together. So, first step, look at your problem. Here's our problem. We got x to the third minus 2x to the second minus 8x minus 35. And we're dividing that by x minus 5. So, first things first, we go through, we're going to put, we're going to go through and put everything that we got in our division that we got. So we put our larger polynomial in red. This is underneath the house. The smaller polynomial in blue, that's on the outside. Now, just like we did before, we want to make sure that we get the first two terms to look the same when we do the division. So I want x here that looks like x to the third. In order to do that, I multiply x by x to the second power. So I got x to the second power. I put that up here. I'm going to multiply this term by both of these two. So x squared times x will give me this x to the third right here. X squared times negative 5 will give me negative 5x squared. Now what I do is I put my parentheses, I put my line here, I put my minus sign, and then I go through and I do the subtraction. So I'm subtracting the things that are alike from each other. Make sure that you're doing that, okay? And also make sure that you write your x's and your exponents. I know you guys don't do that all the time. Please do. So we got x to the third minus x to the third. Remember, I'm going back and forth between these. So I'm going to be doing that as we go through. These first two will always cancel out. If these don't cancel out, you did not multiply by the correct thing. So x to the third minus x to the third cancels itself out. Now I got negative 2x squared minus negative 5x squared. So when we're doing this, we're only subtracting the coefficients. Whatever answer we get, we'll have an x squared to it. So we got negative 2 minus negative 5. That's really negative 2 plus 5, which is going to be a positive 3x. So underneath here, we got positive 3x. And then we are going to bring down that negative 8x. That's the next term that's in our division. We bring that down. So we got 3x squared minus 8x. When I go through to do this, I got to get x here to look like 3x squared down here. That means I got to multiply by 3 and x, since this x is only to the first power. So 3 times x, that's where this 3 is going to come from. X times x gives me x squared. So I got 3x squared underneath here. These both look the same. That's what we want. Now I got 3x times negative 5. 3 times negative 5 gives me this negative 15, and it will have an x. So I go through and do my subtraction. These two, when I subtract them, these should just make nothing. They should cancel out. So 3x squared minus 3x squared should cancel out. Negative 8x minus negative 15x. So we got negative 8 minus negative 15. That's negative 8 plus negative 15, which is going to give us a positive 7. So now we got positive 7, and then we bring down that 35. So I want 7x to be the term that I get here. I got to multiply 7 and x in order to get 7x. So that's how I get the 7x here. And then I do 7 times negative 5, which gives me negative 35. And when I do that last bit of subtraction, it ends up giving me a remainder of 0, this nice shiny 0. So afterwards, I make sure that I put my following terms up here. So I got x squared. Since this 3x that I multiplied by was positive, I put a plus sign there. Then since that 7 that I multiplied by was positive, I put a plus sign here. So x squared plus 3x plus 7 ends up being my final answer. Now, this whole thing, this is what we've been dealing with all throughout January, probably going a little bit into February. What I'm going to show you is a short way to do it. It's a shortcut. Some of you will appreciate it because it's a bit easier. Some of you might feel a little weary about using it and might like to stick to this way. Either way is fine. You'll see that either way will give us the same answer. So let's go into a couple of problems for this. So first problem we're going to look at the same thing that we dealt with the long division way. We're going to divide x to the third minus 2x squared minus 8x minus 35. And we're going to divide that by x minus 5. So it's going to be the same answer when we do this. The method is going to be different though. First step, we got to take x minus 5 and we're going to find the 0. So we know the 0 for this is when we set x minus 5 equal to 0. We got to get x by itself, which means we add 5 to the other side, meaning the 0 for this is 5. So we get 5 from here. Next, what we're going to do is, with the second part of our polynomial division, we're going to find all the coefficients for this right here. Now, I decided to write this 1 here because we don't exactly see the 1. It's always just implied. So I wrote the 1 next to this x to the third power. So I got 1x to the third minus 2x squared minus 8x minus 35. I'm going to grab each of these numbers without the x, and I'm going to rewrite them underneath in this particular way. So the 0 that I have here from this a smaller polynomial, I'm going to write inside of this little house to the side. So I'm going to put the 5, my little house. And then to the right of it, I'm going to write each of these coefficients that I have here. Now, what I'm going to do is going to sound a little weird at first, so I'm going to need you to follow along with me. First step, we're going to take the first coefficient that we have here, this 1, and we're going to bring this down underneath this little line. So we're going to draw this line here. We're going to bring 1 down. Then we're going to take 5 here. We're going to multiply it times the 1 that we have down here. Now the resulting product, the resulting answer that we get, we're going to rewrite under the next coefficient. So underneath this -2, we're going to write that answer we got, the 5. Now, with these two numbers here, we're going to add them together. So -2 plus 5 will give me a +3. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to multiply 5 times my answer that I got down here, this 3. So 5 times 3 gives me a +15. Then just like I did before, I'm going to add these two together. So I got -8 plus 15. That's going to give me a +7. And then finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 5 times 7, which will give me a 35. And then I add these two together, which will give me a 0. So we're doing multiplying, then we're going to add, then we're going to repeat, multiplying, then add, then we're going to repeat, multiplying, then add, then finally we repeat. Now, each of these numbers here, this 1, this 3, this 5, these are the coefficients of our answer when we divide it. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite all our x's that we have here, but we're just going to bring it down 1 level. So our answer is not going to be starting off with an x to the third. It'll start off with an x squared. So I got 1x squared. Then the next term will be 3x. Then the last term won't have an x. And then this final thing, this is just our remainder. This is 0. So when I go through to do this, in comparison to what I had from before, I do end up getting the same answers. This version here to the left, synthetic division, just gives me the coefficients of my answer, and then I just have to rewrite the coefficients at the end of it. Now, it is significantly shorter, but it does involve a bit of discipline with keeping track of the signs, making sure that you do the math correctly, and just, all around keeping track of what you got. Now, here's some steps in order to do this, and I'll give you some time at the end of the video to copy down what we got here. So I got, first we're going to write the coefficient of our 0, sorry, not the coefficient. We're going to write the 0 that's in the bottom of our division, the 0 of our divisor in the house. Then we're going to list out all our coefficients from our division. Then we bring down the first coefficient, and we're going to multiply that coefficient by the number that's in the house. Then we're going to write the product under the second coefficient. Then we're going to add down, and then we're going to repeat this until we get to the end. And that's going to end up giving us our final answer. Now, this stuff that we have here, I would advise you need to write these two examples down. It's better to have something to refer to than to have something that you can't refer to. So, copy these things down in your notebook so that you have them. When we come back in our next video, it's going to be going over the stuff from Khan Academy so that you're able to understand it, alright? So, good luck. I'll see you in the next video.